All right, welcome back, A Pushers. It's another episode of Mr. BAP US History. Today, it's the American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783. Just like the American colonists, A Pushers must hang together, or surely we shall all hang separately, in the famous words of Benjamin Franklin, 1776. Also, in the famous words of Thomas Paine, you might be feeling this too. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country, but he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of men and women. Beginning of the war is tough for the American colonists, but like true advanced placement A pushers, they will not give up. They will persevere to the very end, and victory shall be theirs. The American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, trials of the war, war in the North, armies and strategies. Great Britain's strengths. At the beginning of the war, England dominated because they were a world power, because they had more money, more supplies, more people, and the most powerful navy in the entire world. On top of that, they were able to hire Hessians, professional German mercenaries, to fight for them. They had the support of thousands of loyalists who refused to give up thinking of themselves as British and still supported the king and supported Great Britain. They also had Native American allies because the Native Americans definitely did not want to side with the American colonists who were intent on stealing their land. On top of all the British strength, the American had significant colonial weaknesses. They were broke. They had no money, no navy. They were poorly trained and undersupplied. They had little industry or manufacturing. They had a weak central government and no reliable tax revenue. Mercantilism had, and the triangle trade had left them as exporters, and now they had no way to make their own stuff. Battle of Long Island, August 1776. The British easily captured New York City and forced Washington's troops to retreat. Battle of Trenton, December 1776. Washington sneaks troops across the Delaware River and surprise attacked Hessians who were celebrating Christmas. It is a much needed Patriot victory. The Battle of Princeton, January 1770. Another minor Patriot victory. Battle of Trenton, probably the best generaling that George Washington does this entire war. Despite some minor victories, things were not going so well for the Patriots. Thomas Paine famously writes, "These are the times that try men's souls." Patriot cause survives because of General Washington's plan of engage and retreat. And on top of that, British General Howe's hesitancy to crush the rebellion. The Continental Army consists of mostly poor yeoman farmers and camp followers, women who travel with the army to feed and care for the soldiers. All of them are underpaid and with few supplies. The British are easily able to capture Philadelphia, the Second Continental Congress capital, where the Second Continental Congress was meeting, basically the governing body of the colonists until the Articles of the Confederation. Congress delegates escape to the countryside. Things are looking bleak, bad, terrible. But then, the Battle of Saratoga, 1776. American patriots defeat a large British army led by General John Burgoyne in the upstate New York. American General Horatio Kane and his colonial militia are able to capture an entire British army who was marching down from Canada to reinforce Howe, who was hanging out in Philadelphia. It's the turning point of the war. It ensured the diplomatic success of the American representatives in France, including none other than the Benjamin Franklin himself, who was in Paris trying to convince the French people to join the colonist side. This battle is enough to tip the favor in the balance. France joins the war on the side of the Patriots, and it'll make all the difference. British successfully blockade all the colonial ports, which reduced trade. People moved to rural areas and engaged in subsistence farming because there was no way to trade. Non-associators were neutrals that refused to support either side and made up about 60% of the population on any given day. These non-associators didn't care which way it was. They were mostly focused on just surviving. Financial crisis. Continental Army Congress borrowed money to pay the soldiers, but then they also had to print money after people wouldn't let them own them any money anymore, which quickly became devalued, leading to inflation. The Continental dollars quickly became not worth a Continental, and people basically could just burn them. Valley Forge, December and January 1777 and 1778, is the winter camp of the Continental Army. Morale is low. It's freezing cold. There's no food. Well, very little food. Baron von Steuben comes and trains the American soldiers, whipping them into battle shape. A lot of people desert, but the soldiers who do stay are going to be trained and battle hardened or ready to fight for the spring campaign. Alliance with France provides Americans with money, supplies, troops, and naval support. Britain then focuses on the southern strategy, moving down to the southern part of the colonies instead of the northern colonies. They issue the Philipsburg Proclamation of 1779, which declared any slave that deserted a rebel master would receive freedom, protection, and land from Great Britain. The Continental Army responds by allowing African Americans to join the army, even though we'll never know if they were actually going to be allowed to fight or not, as the war is quickly over before any of these African Americans are able to enlist. British Army dominates the South until Marquis de Lafayette persuades King Louis XVI to send troops to attack the British, which he does. The Patriots successfully used guerrilla warfare to win battles in the Carolinas, for example, Kings Mountain and Cowpens in 1780 and 1781. British General Cornwallis, who replaced General Howe, now leads his army through Virginia. The Continental Army, along with his French allies and the French Navy, surround him at Yorktown. A brilliant maneuver. Cornwallis is forced to surrender as he is outnumbered and cannot wait for reinforcements in 1781. This is the last significant battle of the American Revolutionary War. So how did they do it? How did the Patriots win? Well, the British generals, Howe and Cornwallis, were bad generals. And it turns out that George Washington was inspirational. His inspired leadership held the colonists together, and it allowed them to win against all odds. French aid was invaluable. Without it, they made up 50% of the army in the Battle of Yorktown and 100% of the Navy. Support of local governments, militiamen, and 20 to 30% of the population that supported the Patriot cause tipped the balance in favor. The war was officially over with the Treaty of Paris of 1783, an American colonial diplomatic triumph. It was especially favorable to the colonies. It recognized American independence and awarded colonists all the land south of the Great Lakes and east of the Mississippi River. That's right, the Ohio Valley is now the colonists. No land was reserved for Native Americans. And, on top of all that, it granted American fishing rights in the North Atlantic Ocean, off the coast of Nova Scotia. Also, guaranteed freedom of navigation in the Mississippi River, and prohibited Britain from taking property or slaves. In return, the Americans just had to promise to return property to the Loyalists that was confiscated during the war, which they did or did not. There you have it. That is the end of the American Revolutionary War. Until next time. This is Mr. B, AP US History. Remember, like, subscribe, add, ring the bell for notifications. Tell your friends and your friends' friends. Let's go, A-Pushers. Let's go.